Hello, and welcome to Pass or Fail, where now, in the aftermath of the 2022 World Cup, very belatedly, I look at how teams from each confederation did. I give some brief notes on my thoughts on their performances, and I give them a pass or fail grade, a rating. And we're doing this per confederation, so expect this to be a bit of a mini-series. Today we're starting off with CAF, Africa. The 5 nations that played in Qatar 2022. And we had Senegal, Tunisia, Morocco, Cameroon, and Ghana. So without further ado, let's jump right in, and I'll give you my thoughts, who made the cut and who did not. So to start off, we have Senegal going in order of groups. So Senegal were in Group A, and they finished with 6 points, advancing to the round of 16, coming second in their group ahead of Qatar and Ecuador and behind the Netherlands. They lost their opening match to the Netherlands, a game in which they fought really hard and held on for 84 minutes. Then they rallied to win their last 2 matches against Qatar, and in a must-win against Ecuador on match day 3, they pulled through and became one of 2 African nations to make it into the next round. Senegal came through the first round despite not having Sadio Mane, who did not play in this World Cup due to injury. The reigning African champions had a lot of question marks and uncertainty of who would fill that role up front. Aliou Cisse had to make some adjustments, but a lot of the players in this team stepped up in this tournament. Boulaye Dia, Ismaila Sarr, Kalidou Koulibaly. Senegal, I think, above anything else, showed their depth in this World Cup, and they showed why they are the cream of the crop on the African continent at the moment. That despite not having a world-class player, one of their best players, maybe their star player in Sadio Mane, they still had the numbers to come through a tough group ahead of a very plucky Ecuadorian team that had given the Netherlands a lot of trouble. Sadio Mane not being in this World Cup was the deciding factor for me to narrowly pick Ecuador over Senegal to advance. And Senegal proved me wrong. They did. Their overall quality was on full display, and it was really tough at times, but they pulled through, and they looked okay in the first half, I would say, against England in the round of 16 before they eventually fell apart due to just being in an inferior quality team. But I think overall Senegal did Africa proud, and they pass. So I put them in the pass category. Next we have Tunisia, the Carthage Eagles from Group D. Tunisia got off to a decent start with a draw against Denmark, a 0-0, that set them up to be in a promising position to potentially usurp the Danes for second in their group after France had comfortably dispatched with Australia on matchday 1. And while there were moments of brilliance that Tunisia had here and there, we saw the likes of Hannibal Mejri, Wabi Kazri, the veteran, scoring and winning that final match against a rotated French squad. We saw Aissa Laudouni put on an absolute clinic against Denmark, showing some lovely footwork and dribbling skill. Tunisia did show signs of being a quintessential World Cup regular team, but I feel that Jalel Kadri mismanaged that match against Australia, and in a group where France and Denmark had fallen by the wayside, this was an open opportunity for one of the other 2 teams to rise up and make a case for the next round. Tunisia just failed to show up and to build on that opening result against Denmark. And they did well enough to finish with 4 points, which is one of their highest finishes ever. But yet again, they've shown to be group stage fodder and to be a World Cup team that is, while by no means at all a pushover, they're still just seemingly there to make up the numbers. It's a disappointment for Tunisia. I think they failed. I don't give them a passing grade. Even though it was not a bad World Cup for them, it was just a lost opportunity. Morocco from Group F. I mean, my goodness me. I don't have to spend long on this. History. the first ever African World Cup semifinalist. It is theirs forever. Nobody will ever be able to take it away from them. They created a monumental achievement, just one of 3 countries outside of Europe and South America in the world to ever make a World Cup semifinal in the World Cup's 92-year history. Walid Regawi coming in the way that he did with such little time before the tournament and getting this country, this team, organized for the World Cup is nothing short of phenomenal. Very compact, very organized. They knocked out giants in this tournament. They beat Belgium 2-0 in the group stages. They eliminated Portugal and Spain. Just unbelievable stuff. Did not concede a single goal that was not an own goal until the semifinal against France, which is really saying something. Guys like Yassine Bono, Hakim Ziyech, Amrabat, Hakimi, just overall really class side. I think they're the second best team in Africa right now. Maybe even the best in current form, certainly maybe the best in terms of management, but it's just a remarkable achievement for Morocco. They pass, they super pass, and I would give them an A+++ if I could. Now then, Cameroon. This one might generate some disagreement, but I also grade not only based on a team advances from their group stage, but their performance within the context of their expectations. And to say it right off the bat, I have Cameroon passing, despite not coming out of the group stages yet again. And the reason I do is that they have very much improved on their past performances in the World Cup. Since 1990, Cameroon had not even gotten past the group stages. And in the last couple of World Cups they were in 2010 and 2014, they were absolutely humiliated. But here, they finished third with 4 points and picked up a famous victory on the final match day against an albeit rotated second-string Brazilian side. But it was a game in which Vincent Aboubakar and other guys like goalkeeper Mpassé really had, I think, breakout performances. Cameroon looked really cogent and threatening in that match against Brazil. A very strong Brazilian team that arguably could and should have beaten them. But Cameroon went out with a bang. They remained in contention all the way until the end to advance past the first round. And I think they exit the tournament with their head held up high. And the 3-3 match against Serbia was one of the most exciting, high-octane, high-scoring matches of the entire tournament. Castelletto, Choupo-Moting, that match was a thriller. And had it gone just a little bit differently, maybe Cameroon ends up coming in a top 2 spot in this group. But I think that they kept things respectable when they were coming into this tournament with having lost 8 or 9 of their last World Cup matches, which is just an abysmal record. So I think Cameroon, it was a very tough group with Switzerland and Brazil and a Serbian team who, albeit, never really shows up in tournaments. But I think Cameroon, the third-place finishers of the AFCON earlier this year, they had a pretty decent World Cup. I think you have to give a lot of respect to Rigobert Song doing what he did, taking over earlier this year after the AFCON. And Cameroon returns back home with arguably their best performance in 30 years, really. And it's because of that I actually have Cameroon passing. I do. Lastly, from Group H, we have Ghana, the Black Stars. Ghana, a bit of a mixed bag. The first 2 games in their group against Portugal and South Korea, very commendable. Very commendable. They were competitive against Portugal. They gave them a lot of problems. It was a match in which Ghana almost came away with something. They lost narrowly 3-2. I was very impressed by the young talent of Mohamed Kudus. I think that, the Ajax youngster, he made a very compelling case in this World Cup for a big money, big club move in the future. And you had guys like Ousmane Boukari, who had good tournaments. Salisu, who was instrumental in that win against South Korea to keep Ghana in contention in this group. Heading into that final match day against Uruguay, I actually have them failing just because I feel like that match against Uruguay, the real stab in the stomach, the real dagger was giving up those 2 goals early on, not converting that penalty, which changed the entire complexion of the game, would have put Ghana in the driver's seat. And they let that really get away from them. With De Arrascaeta for Uruguay scoring that brace in the span of 6 or 7 minutes. And I think Otto, the Ghanaian coach, a lot of blame goes to him. He made some very questionable substitutions, taking players off earlier than they should have come on. And I think that that was a factor that hurt Ghana in the end. Despite the fact they qualified for the World Cup unexpectedly on away goals rule against a better Nigerian team, Ghana, they had an okay World Cup, certainly better than 2014 when they crashed out with a single point, but I have them as failing. I think they could have gotten more. They would have passed, but that last game against Uruguay, opportunity for revenge, they just did not take that opportunity to get revenge. So I have them failing, but I do think with their young talent, the future is looking bright for the Black Stars. So this is my grades: pass Senegal, Morocco, Cameroon, fail Tunisia, and Ghana. Let me know where you agree or disagree. Hopefully I see you guys soon, God willing. Until then, as always, have a good one, much love, and peace out.